Who the fuck is posting pictures with you in Cancun? I didn't ease into it. No soft lead-up. I stared down at my phone, watching the Instagram stories roll in. Rachel, my girlfriend of 3 years, wrapped around some familiar asshole in a resort pool. His hand way too low on her ass. She blinked up at me from the couch, casually painting her nails like she hadn't just been caught red-handed. "Babe, relax," she said, blowing on her nails. "I told you I was going on a girls' trip." I clenched my jaw. "Yeah? Then why the fuck is Jake there?" Jake, her ex, the same guy she swore she never talked to anymore. Rachel barely flinched. She tossed her hair over her shoulder, stretching like she was bored of the conversation already. "It's not what it looks like. He's got his hands all over you, Rachel." Her lips curled into that smirk I used to find sexy. "Don't be so insecure. You know I only love you." I nearly laughed. "You love me? But you're in Mexico with him?" She rolled her eyes. "It's not a big deal. We're just friends now." I stared at her, feeling that cold, familiar rage settle in. Friends. I didn't say another word. I just grabbed my jacket, phone still in hand, and walked out the door. Rachel didn't even bother asking where I was going. I wasn't stupid. I knew what the fuck was happening the moment I saw her post that spontaneous getaway on her story. But I needed proof. That night, I opened our shared laptop and went straight to her email. She never logged out. It took less than 2 minutes to find the receipts. Flight booked 2 weeks ago for 2 people. Hotel reservation under Rachel Evans and Jake Thompson. A full fucking week in Cancun. And guess who paid for it? Me. The card on file? My platinum visa. I leaned back in the chair, staring at the screen, heart pounding but strangely calm. She wasn't just cheating. She was using my money to do it. Rachel came home late the next day, sunglasses still perched on top of her head. She kicked off her heels, dropping shopping bags by the door like it was just another Tuesday. I was sitting on the couch, laptop open. Her eyes flicked to the screen. She froze. "What's this?" she asked, voice a little too light. I turned the laptop so she could see the booking confirmation staring her in the face. "Care to explain why I'm paying for you and Jake to fuck in Cancun?" Rachel's eyes narrowed for half a second, but she smoothed her expression quickly. "Oh my God, Josh." She laughed, leaning against the counter like this was some kind of joke. "I told you it was a mistake. I accidentally put your card on file when I booked." "Accidentally?" I raised an eyebrow. "Rachel, the hotel is under your name and his. This wasn't a mistake." She waved me off, stepping closer. "It's not like that. Jake and I aren't sleeping together. We're just friends." I cut her off, standing. "Yeah, you said that already." Her smile faded. "Josh, you're overreacting. Seriously." I walked past her to the kitchen, opening the fridge just to cool off. "I froze your bank account." She stopped mid-step. "What?" I grabbed a beer, popping the cap. "Your account." I shut it down. "The credit cards too." Rachel's face paled. "Josh, you can't fucking do that." I took a slow sip, letting the silence drag. "I already did." Her nails tapped against the counter, panic flashing across her eyes for the first time. "You're being ridiculous. That's our money."
No, Rachel.
"It's my money. And you won't be using it to fuck your ex." She stormed closer, shoving the laptop shut. "Fine. I'll call the bank and unfreeze it." I chuckled, brushing past her. "Go ahead. I already told them to flag your spending. You won't see a dime." Rachel's hands balled into fists, shaking slightly. "You're such a controlling asshole." I smiled, leaning down until our faces were inches apart. "Maybe. But I'm not the one getting dicked down in Cancun while pretending it's a girl's trip." Her cheeks flushed, but she didn't deny it. She couldn't. Rachel tried to play it cool. She grabbed her phone, pretending to scroll through her banking app like she wasn't panicking. I watched her thumb hover over the screen. Then her face dropped. "Josh, this isn't funny." I smirked, sipping my beer. "I'm not laughing." Her eyes darted back to me, lips tightening as she slammed her phone down on the counter. "You really froze all my cards?" she snapped. Yup. Rachel's fists clenched. You can't just do that. I need money. For what? I tilted my head. You're home now. Jake didn't follow you, did he? Her face turned bright red. Fuck you.
I stepped closer, towering over her.
Oh, you already did that, Rachel. Just not with me. She didn't respond, crossing her arms defensively. I told you nothing happened, she said through gritted teeth. I set the beer down hard on the counter, the bottle rattling against the granite. You seriously expect me to believe that? Rachel's eyes darted away. Josh, come on. I was drunk. Okay? It was just a stupid trip. Stupid? I scoffed. Yeah, it was pretty stupid to use my credit card for it. Her hands trembled slightly. She grabbed the edge of the counter, leaning over it like she could somehow intimidate me. You're gonna fix this. Now. I leaned in, brushing a strand of hair from her face, letting my lips hover just above her ear. I'll fix it, I whispered. Right after you pack your shit and leave. Rachel froze, pulling back to meet my gaze. Excuse me? I'm done, Rachel. I stepped away, motioning toward the door. You wanted Jake? Go be with him. But you're not doing it under my roof. Her jaw dropped. You're actually kicking me out over this? I shrugged. You made your bed, babe. Go sleep in his. Rachel stared at me, searching for something, anything, that might get me to back down. It wasn't happening. You're fucking insane, she hissed, storming toward the bedroom. I stayed in the kitchen, watching as she shoved clothes into a suitcase, slamming drawers and cursing under her breath. I didn't stop her. I didn't care. She left that night, dragging her bags out to the curb, dialing frantically on her phone, probably calling Jake. I stood in the doorway watching her from the porch. Need a ride to the airport? I called out, grinning. Rachel shot me a glare that could melt steel. Go fuck yourself, Josh. Already did. Wasn't as good as Cancun, though. She flipped me off, climbing into an Uber. I didn't wave. I just went inside, poured myself another drink, and enjoyed the silence. I thought Rachel was gone for good. But less than 3 days later, she was blowing up my phone. Rachel, we need to talk. Rachel, I'm serious. Call me back. Rachel, Josh, my accounts are still frozen. Fix this now. I let her sweat. She wasn't just blocked from my accounts. Her name was taken off everything. Joint credit cards? Gone. The car she loved driving? In my name. Rent? All mine now. She had nothing. On the 4th day, Rachel finally showed up. I opened the door to find her standing there in tight jeans and one of my hoodies, fake lashes and puffy lips like she thought she could flirt her way back inside. Josh? She started, forcing a sweet smile. Can we talk? I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. I don't think we have anything to say. Her nails dug into her palms. She glanced down the street like she was making sure no one could hear. Look, I get it. I fucked up. But you can't just leave me like this. Why not? I raised a brow. You left me the second Jake booked that hotel. Rachel's face hardened. The fake sweetness melted right off. It wasn't like that, she snapped. It was just a trip. I told you we didn't sleep together. I laughed coldly. You expect me to believe that? She stepped closer, biting her lip like she thought I'd cave. I swear, Josh, I was drunk. It didn't mean anything. I gripped the door, leaning in. So, why'd he post pictures of you two in bed? Rachel's breath hitched. She blinked. What? I pulled out my phone and flipped the screen toward her. Jake's Instagram. Rachel, wrapped in nothing but sheets, kissing his neck while he snapped a mirror selfie from the hotel. I didn't know he posted that, she whispered, face draining of color. I chuckled, sliding the phone back into my pocket. Guess you were too drunk to remember. Rachel's hands balled into fists. Josh, please. I'll fix this. I stared at her for a long moment. Then, I slammed the door in her face. She pounded on it for a full minute before finally leaving. 2 days later, Jake messaged me.
Jaque, yo, man.
Can you talk to Rachel? She's been blowing up my phone. Jake, I'm not trying to deal with this. I laughed to myself. Of course. Rachel thought she'd ride into the sunset with him, but clearly Jake wasn't planning on keeping her around. I texted back, she's not my problem anymore. Good luck. By the end of the week, Rachel was couch surfing at one of her friends' apartments. Her Instagram stories weren't beach trips and brunches anymore. Just sad shots of cheap takeout and captions about self-love. Megan sent me one of her posts. Megan, is she okay? LMAO. I replied with a thumbs up. Rachel wanted to cheat? Fine. Now she had nothing but regret. It didn't take long for Rachel to realize Jake wasn't going to save her. A week after she left, she was at my door again. This time she didn't dress up or fake a smile. She looked like she hadn't slept. Messy bun, oversized hoodie, and flip-flops. Josh, can we just talk? Her voice cracked a little. I didn't move.
I'm listening.
Rachel shifted uncomfortably, biting her lower lip.
I'm sorry.
I shouldn't have gone on that trip. I raised a brow. That's what you're sorry for? The trip. She looked down at her hands, twisting her fingers. I thought we needed space. Jake, he didn't mean anything. I swear. Rachel, I said flatly. I watched him eat you out in a pool on Instagram. Don't stand here and lie to my face. Her face burned bright red. You're not innocent either, she snapped suddenly, her voice rising. I know Megan's been over here. Everyone's talking about it. I smirked, crossing my arms. Yeah, Megan's been over. You didn't think I'd sit at home crying, did you? Rachel's lips trembled. I thought you loved me. I leaned in, lowering my voice. I did. Right up until you spread your legs for Jake in Mexico. Tears welled in her eyes, but I didn't care. Rachel made her bed. Now she could lie in it. Alone. You need to leave. Josh, please.
No, Rachel.
Go. She stared at me for a long moment, hoping I'd change my mind. I didn't. She finally turned and walked down the steps, her head hanging low. I watched her leave, feeling nothing but satisfaction. Later that night, Megan slid into my bed, her bare skin pressed against mine. She's really still trying to come back? She whispered, running her nails down my chest. I chuckled, pulling her closer. Rachel doesn't know how to let go. Megan smiled, lips grazing my neck. Guess she shouldn't have cheated. I rolled her over, pinning her beneath me. Guess not. Rachel didn't stop. Over the next week, I caught her car parked outside my place at random hours. She wasn't knocking, just sitting there, watching. Megan thought it was funny. She's obsessed, she laughed, tugging my shirt over her bare shoulders one morning. You'd think she'd get the hint. I leaned against the counter, sipping coffee as Megan wrapped her arms around my waist. Rachel's not the type to quit. She thought I'd crawl back after she cheated. Megan grinned. Now she gets to see someone else enjoying you. She wasn't wrong. Rachel wasn't over it. Friday night, Megan stayed over again. We were on the couch. Megan stretched out beneath me, my hands sliding up her thigh when Rachel's name popped up on my phone. Rachel, I'm outside. I sighed, setting the phone down on the coffee table. Let me guess, Megan murmured, kissing my jaw. Yeah, she's in the driveway. Megan sat up, grabbing her wine glass. Let her sit there. I'm not done with you yet. She straddled me, her lips trailing lower. Rachel knocked 5 minutes later. I didn't answer. The next morning, I opened the door to find Rachel's jacket draped over the porch railing. She must have left it there when she gave up waiting. Megan leaned over my shoulder, brushing her teeth with one of my spare toothbrushes. She's losing it, she mumbled through the foam. I grabbed the jacket, tossing it onto the front lawn. She's already lost. Megan smirked and disappeared into the kitchen. Rachel came by to grab the jacket later that afternoon. She didn't say a word. I watched her from the window, Megan leaning against my shoulder as Rachel picked it up and walked back to her car. No makeup, dark circles under her eyes. She glanced up once, locking eyes with me through the glass. I didn't blink. Rachel climbed into her car and drove off. That was the last time she showed up. She finally got the message. Thank you for listening the story to the end. Write your thoughts about it in the comments and do not forget to subscribe. See you in the next videos.